In today's segment of Inclusion Unlimited, we are talking travel and how to make the most out of your getaways if you or someone in your family has a disability. Jennifer Allen has always loved to travel. And when she had children with disabilities, she refused to let that stop her family from exploring the world. She set out on a mission to raise awareness and help families like hers find ways to travel even with a disability. She joins me now via Zoom. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome.
Hi, Leslie. Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Well, first of all, give us a little backstory about, first of all, your love for adventures and also your children, your family.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am mom of three. I have two boys and a girl. They are 8, 9, and 12. My daughter is the youngest. Um, I was always big into adventure. So we were one of those couples who, did 28 countries before we were 28 and hiking at 6 months pregnant. But as we got to three children and then found out that our middle son had a disability and he would never walk independently, there was a lot of refiguring out, okay, what does it look like to be able to travel as a family now that we know that we're going to have different needs, especially the mobility needs, and figuring out the wheelchair piece that felt huge in the moment of receiving a diagnosis of your son's going to be a wheelchair user for life, and trying to figure out, okay, well, what are our next steps? How do we continue to show our kids the world, because that's something that's important to us, and navigate what that looks like with having different disabilities in the family?
Well, as you started going through this journey of discovering how to travel when you have individuals with disabilities in your family, you found some pretty good tips and you decided there was a need to share these tips. So you developed Wonders Within Reach. Tell us about Wonders Within Reach.
So, Wonders Within Reach started really by accident. I actually received a spam email on how would you like to get paid to travel? And I thought, well, that sounds great, right? And the premise of this was you go to these different places and you have a massive social media following, so people will pay you to share your pictures in these beautiful destinations in your beautiful clothes. And it was this nice young couple, and I thought, oh, that's kind of laughable for us right now at this phase in our life as we have our three children and we're drowning in chaos. And I thought, well, what if we showed the world what it looked like to travel differently now that we're older and we have, our jobs and our kids, and we've kind of settled down a little bit. And I thought this was my original idea, that I would show the world what family travel looked like. And I started an Instagram account and a blog the very next day. And within a week, realized, okay, there are thousands of people who are already doing that so much better than I could. But also in that time frame, saw that none of them had a family that looked like ours. No one showing the different side of travel. And as a mom, knowing how hard it is to plan for that aspect of travel, I realized that I could fill a hole where there's not that information. And I can help parents just by sharing our journey, right? As we go, sometimes things go really well and sometimes things don't, but just sharing our experiences and as we learn, so that other people can learn through our journey and through our mistakes, even.
So give us a few tips. What are some of the things that you have learned that have made it easier for you that you're sharing with other people to make their trips easier?
Sure. And this is a continual learning journey. I will say I am not an expert in disability travel, but it has gotten so much smoother since we've started, right? Because there are things that you pick up along the way. One of my most recent blog posts was on things that you can use for disability travel that make it a little bit easier. So, actual gear. And there have been so many amazing innovations that make it easier for families with different needs to be able to travel. But even aside from all of the new tech, there are little things that we really go to that just make it go a little bit more smoothly. Some of the things that I included are a wheelchair backpack. I don't know why this took us so long to find, but just a backpack that can fit on your wheelchair, right? So you're not carrying anything. So my 9-year-old now can carry all of his medical supplies with him when we go places because it's on his wheelchair. No hands required. Makes travel a little bit easier. Um, Along that, we used to pack multiple sizes of suitcases because we travel with so much medical equipment. So catheters, diapers, whatever things that we need for medical routines, we would have empty suitcases going home. So we would just put suitcases inside of suitcases. And you can still do that, but we did also find packable backpacks. So we can travel with extra bags, and then they fold up super tiny into the suitcase when we're done instead of taking up that extra space and weight. Some other things that really I feel like apply to all parents, but we maybe learned along the journey. The first aid kit obviously is very important. Ours is a little bit more robust and has some basic tools in it. The tools are huge for both the wheelchair and for my son's orthotics. If you have a power chair, there are always little things that can break that you just want to have like a basic toolkit with you. Um, Duct tape is our best friend. And I think that's so funny, right? When we were in high school, we joked that duct tape fixes everything. It really does. We have had my son, I mean, held together with duct tape where we're putting it around his orthotics and it's holding his leg in his brace. So
So you
really,
travel with duct tape, and that has actually come in
absolutely.
handy.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many, I mean, it's strong. You can do a lot that you don't realize with duct tape. Some of those basic small things, right? The duct tape and the first aid kit. Oh, another simple thing that I think everyone should have is knowing what hospital you'll use where you are traveling. So for us, this has worked out better connecting with our specialist and seeing who he recommends in that area versus just Googling local hospitals. Because he can always give us an idea of somebody who, if we're domestic, even is in network that will transfer files and it's super easy. But having an idea before you travel of, okay, if we have an emergency, which hopefully you don't, but if you do, where are you going to go? And if you know in advance where it is, it just makes that so much easier.
That's actually brilliant because if it happens in the moment and you haven't done your research, it can become overwhelming, I'm sure, if you're in a place that you're not familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually had one experience, and this was me. This was not my children with medical needs. We were in Mexico last summer, and I actually had heat stroke and was rushed to the hospital via
Oh,
ambulance. And in that instance, I had not researched, and I don't know why, because I'm always so good about that with my kids. And I hadn't looked up the hospitals and where we should and shouldn't go. And we went to the one that had a US travel advisory against us. And right. So there were some complications and it was fine. The medical care was fine, but the billing situation is chaos. And it's just good to know ahead of time, okay, there are different hospitals. They don't have the same quality of care or the same ability to communicate with your health specialist. So just know that ahead of time.
well, actually, that is a really good tip because that's a tip for everybody, not just if you're traveling with someone who has a disability. That's something I think we all need to consider when we're traveling. I never
Absolutely.
think about that, but now I will. Thank you for that.
Yes, you're welcome. I hope you never need it, but if you do, it's there.
And I'll think about you. I'll be like, Jennifer, this is so easy because of you. Thank you. So tell us more how people can find out about Wonders Within Reach.
Sure. That is actually the handle across the board. So Wonders Within Reach on Instagram, Wonders Within Reach is the blog title on Facebook. It's the same across the board. And you can find more information there on some of the resources that we have found, things that we travel with that make it a little bit easier. Um, but it's all available on that same platform.
And I encourage people to go check it out because it is a lot more than just this one issue we're talking about and this one subject we're talking about. And I'm looking forward to next month picking another topic that we hope everybody can learn a little something from to make their lives a little bit easier to enjoy travel and all the wonderful things that we all want to do.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Wonders Within Reach. Jennifer Allen, we'll see you again next month. And thanks again for all of your really great, enlightening information.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm looking forward to sharing more of our journey.
Me too. I'll see you next time. And thank you, everybody, as always, for being with us today for Inclusion Unlimited. We'll see you again next time.